Hello everyone, I'm Triple J and welcome to the movies. Well, as everyone knows, the Guardians of the Galaxy came out this weekend, and a movie starring a walking talking raccoon and a walkie talking tree has garnered nearly $100 million on its opening weekend. And yet DC is yet to actually do anything with Wonder Woman or Marvel with any of their female characters. But we're not actually going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about one of the male superheroes that actually did fail in terms of storytelling, character development, and plot, that still managed to get a sequel. Yes, I'm talking about Amazing Spider-Man. Inspired by my good friend Dennis Upkins, who live tweeted his own viewing of Amazing Spider-Man 2, I am booting up Netflix on my TV, and I'm going to rewatch Amazing Spider-Man 1 with all its Andrew Garfield headgear, hoodie wearing, skateboard doing mopiness. I tell you, this stuff makes Tobey Maguire's evil emo Dance of Darkness look good in comparison in Spider-Man 3. So, I'm going to start it up. I've got... oh shit. I'm going to need more alcohol, and I'll get back to you in just a little bit after this cut. Watching Amazing Spider-Man on Netflix, and I just realized how emotionally empty this movie is. I was actually discussing, me and a few other friends on Facebook, we're actually discussing superhero movies when Amazing Spider-Man came up, due to reference to my friend Dennis Upkins doing a live tweet of Amazing Spider-Man 2, and this friend, I cannot remember your name, I am very sorry, I'm still quite drunk while having watched this movie, pointed out that what Amazing Spider-Man has is several good elements that the writing and the directing does not tie together. These good elements include, well, for starters, Gwen Stacy, who's smart and capable, has a bright future in science until Spider-Man 2. And for those of you who've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. For example, she's making the antidote to reverse the lizard's bioagent, and so she stays in the laboratory even though Peter tells her that the lizard is on her way. So what does she do? She activates the fire alarm, gets everyone evacuated while she stays behind and tries to keep this one key element of the lizard's plan out of his hands. You know, it shows an awareness of the situation that innocent people could be involved if she didn't act. And she's just a regular human being, you know, physically speaking. Another good key element is Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon actually has a character arc throughout the story. He starts off as a bully. We actually see a couple of scenes between him and Peter. One where he beats up Peter, and another scene in a basketball court. Then after Uncle Ben dies, he actually goes to Peter to offer his condolences. And even though Peter's angry and slams him up against the lockers, he doesn't retaliate. Like, he knows Peter is hurting, and he goes, you know, you're hurting, and I'm sorry. As though to say, you know, hey, if you've got anything to take out, take it out on me. I can take it. And then in the last scene that we see him in, he's actually being very big and backslappy, huggy, like that. One key element is that he's a very physical guy. He's an athlete, but you know, he's like now he becomes this friend. He's also a supporter of Spider-Man. We actually see, you know, one element of him that changes. You know, he stops being a bully. He's actually shows compassion, and he shows growth while actually keeping another key element of his personality, which is that he's a very physical kind of person. This is a very bad thing for a side character to have when the main character does not have it, and that is growth. Another key element. They actually show us that Peter Parker is indeed very smart. My friend Kirk Boxleitner pointed out in a quote that people keep on forgetting that I'm very, very smart, which is what about Spider-Man. And in this case, the smart is mainly technical. He makes his own web shooters. He doesn't design the webbing. He actually orders it from Oscorp. I don't know why, since in the comics he makes it himself. Oh God, there's not enough alcohol enough in a movie for this movie. But he makes his own web shooters from like old wrist watches. He makes his own costume after a bit. He shows him, like when in an earlier scene, Uncle Ben asks him to help out with an old appliance, and he will say, well, it's this. It's not this because of this, but it's this, And Uncle Ben takes him at his word. So there's that, and honestly, that's about all the good elements that this movie has. It just, the underlining problem with this film is that it strips away one of the core elements of a Spider-Man, which is that the accident, what gave him his powers, was a complete and utter fluke. It was simply an accident. What this movie does is that it takes one element from the comics, which was that Peter Parker's parents were actually double agents who were working for the Red Skull but also against him to provide the United States with intelligence. For old comic book fans, this took place in Amazing Spider-Man Annual Number 5. I just looked it up online just to double check my sources according to Wikipedia. And what this movie does is that it kind of sets up this feeling of destiny, of fate, that's Peter Parker was to become Spider-Man. And it strips away this layer of every normal person kind of feeling that Spider-Man had. Again, the accident that gave him powers was a complete fluke. The lesson that he learned, with great power comes great responsibility, turned him into Spider-Man. And this movie just completely stripped it out. It just made Peter into this mopey, emo, hoodie-wearing, skateboarding, just flopping, just idiots. Like, God, I've honestly got nothing against Andrew Garfield. I think he had from everything I heard about him, he actually had a lot of passion about this, and he was also with the Batman Cancer Kid, and he spent a day with him in Disneyland, and that's good. I mean, we all kind of like it when actors are good people. The script did not fit him. Throughout this entire movie, the one person I was really rooting for, and who I honestly wish I got into spider powers, who actually showed some intelligence, was Emma Stone, Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy, as I said, was shown to be resourceful and thoughtful and compassionate and aware of her surroundings. Peter Parker's actually shown, despite his technical prowess to be very, very dumb. Like the reason why the Lizard finds out that Spider-Man is Peter Parker is that Peter Parker sets up a camera that on a wall to take pictures of the Lizard, and on the camera that the Lizard finds afterward, it's like this little printed out tag that says property of Peter Parker. I'm like, oh my god, I completely actually forgot about that bit of stupidity. I'm like, oh my god, just gods. It just failed to reach those emotional highs. In fact, one of the things, emotional depths that it tried to reach was it actually had an ending funeral scene, much like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1, where Harry Osborn is lamenting the death of Norman Osborn and seeks revenge against Spider-Man. It has that, but it's for Captain Stacy. I'm like, are you really ripping off, Sam Raimi stuff to try to give your own movie depth? Jeez. No, it's not the way you're supposed to do it. Another part was that in the first Spider-Man movie, we actually saw the citizens of New York, come together on the bridge to save Spider-Man when he's trying to save a bunch of kids. Like there's this one famous line. It's like you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. And this was about the crane operators that are conveniently lined up to give Spider-Man a clear line of webbing opportunities to get to Oscorp Tower, and it just doesn't work. It really just doesn't work. I mean, from what I heard of from Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they actually include the death of Gwen Stacy, why would you do that? If you really wanted to steer away from it, you would have had her survive. Oh God, what else? Like, okay, one more good element that they actually had that was offset by another were the quips by Spider-Man. It was actually quite funny. I mean, I was kind of laughing at some points when he's fighting bad guys or crooks or, the Lizard and everything. He's giving off quips. And then that costume just looks horrible. Oh my god, it was just... At the very least, in the Spider-Man trilogy done by Sam Raimi, he said, hey, this is the costume, let's make this. Kind of like when Bryan Singer said, hey, this is Cerebral, let's make this. It's just, little things can really add to a movie, and little things can really take away from a movie. And just, oh my god, this movie, according to Netflix here, it's 2 hours, 16 minutes long. And boy, oh boy, do you feel that. Half the time it's like, I'm going on Tumblr, because I was actually more interested in what was on Tumblr and Facebook than what was going on with the movie. It's not a good sign unless you actually got some solid writing and directing. Don't make your movie over 2 hours long. And like other Marvel movies, as owned by Marvel Studios, they had an after credits scene, which is Dr. Kurt Connors saying in prisons, talking to a mysterious figure saying, leave Peter alone, which is again partly a callback to Sam Raimi's films, where the villains actually had some level of redemption. Norman Osborn was like, when he was dying, saying, please don't tell Harry how much of a monster I became. And the second Spider-Man movie, Dr. Octopus, as he's ripping apart his own invention, as he finally comes to his senses to save the city, he says, "I will not die a monster." And so, and Dr. Kurt Connors is like, "I will save you, Peter." And it's like, no, it's just bad. In short, this movie just completely, it just fails. And now they're talking about how the third movie might be something like a Sinister Six get together. I mean, if they didn't actually make a Black Cat solo movie, I'd be all for that. I would love that. I mean, this could actually be the chance to show, the Thief with a Heart of Gold type movie that Catwoman failed to be. I haven't even seen the second Amazing Spider-Man movie. I've really got no urge to see it, except maybe if I had something to eat and lots to drink. So, yeah, a bit of an old review. Not seen in the theaters. I didn't see it in the theaters. I'm sure as hell not. I didn't pay to see it. At least not as much as I would have if I bought it on DVD or Blu-ray. In short, this movie it does not have the emotional heart to it that a lot of the Marvel Studio movies have to them. It just... Don't see it. Don't even waste your time on Netflix. One of the recommendations it actually gave me was the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series, which watch that. Don't waste your time on Amazing Spider-Man. Watch the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series. There's a sense of fun. It actually has, the White Tiger, Power Man, Nova, Iron Fist, Agent Coulson, who I actually think is voiced by Clark Gregg. Watch that. Don't watch Amazing Spider-Man. Don't make the mistake that I did. Unless you got lots of alcohol, which I had, which is probably where I'm in the state right now. So, I'm Triple J. There's probably lots left to say about how bad this movie is, but it's nearly 1 o'clock, and I'm drunk. So, that's all I've got left to say. Take care. Bye-bye.